Just hit that. So we're on YouTube. Hello, I'm Scott Stimson from International Computer Solutions, and this is Chester and Judy's picture wall, as well as myself, of course. And this is the San Carlos Computer Club. For some reason, we have very light attending for this morning, but that doesn't change us still having our meeting, and so I'll continue to do it, even if it's just me and Chester having a conversation, because Judy ran off to do something. I am assuming that you guys got a link to the document of possible topics, but I am looking at that right now, and I will stick that in our chat window in case somebody wants to just click to it.
I got it, but I didn't have an opportunity to read it.
Well, I thought you'd find it extremely interesting because I went on a search for 3i Atlas.
Oh, okay.
And so I put a couple of links in the document specifically about that. But what's very funny is that one of the things I came across was a YouTube video from Michio Kaku, which is a well-renowned physicist. And he was really talking up being a very spectacular, really ginning up the whole idea of this being an interplanetary visitor. And I found it fascinating. It was intriguing. It had to be some of the kinds of things that you'd been seeing, Chester, because it was really exciting stuff. But as I watched him, I felt like it seemed so... There was something about it that didn't feel right. Hi, Judy.
Hi.
Welcome.
I've been here. I've been listening.
Oh, great. Well, there was something about it that just didn't feel right. I'm like, this is on the edge of sensationalizing information, which I know recently he's gotten some criticisms for being more popular science than hardcore science. But I know I read his book back in the 2000s, and if he had come up with this stuff in the early 2000s, I would immediately be thinking, wow, maybe I should be looking into getting a bunker, because I would have taken him so seriously. And here I'm watching this video and I'm having a lot of trouble taking him that seriously. And I'm like, well, let's go find some more information about this from him specifically. And I started doing some searches, and I kept finding very similar videos until I found one that was very similar, but a bit choppy. Like that can't possibly be him. This has got to be one of these AI slop videos. And then I found it. I found an article talking about how just in the last few days, these Michio Kaku deepfake videos have been surfacing on the internet, and it's been screwing a lot of people up. And apparently, there's so much interest in this. This is called the Enshittification Now. Michio Kaku's deepfake video hit YouTube. Fools most people. So this had kind of a cascading effect in the last week. Is these AI videos hit the internet, people watched them, made their own videos, and continued forward, perpetuating this very sensationalized point of view about 3i Atlas. Judy, you have your hand up.
I do. I have a question. Why
Please.
would anybody look at this? What is the purpose of looking at this to begin with? What are you looking for?
What is the purpose of what?
Looking at this video to begin with. What were you really trying to look at it for?
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Originally, I was following up on Chester's suggestion from last week because there's a lot of very interesting characteristics about this interstellar body. In fact, I didn't even understand that 3i meant it was the third interstellar body that has been witnessed by
Hmm.
our observers. And so we've
It's
got a one eye, a two eye, and a three eye. What's that,
it's
Chester?
substantially different than the other two.
Yes, yeah, and that's very intriguing as well. So I was just trying to follow up on what Chester had been talking about last week. And I'm watching the video and it just seemed, I mean, like, I know this physicist. I've followed him for years. And I know that he's become more like morning show physicist, like more like a Dr. Oz kind of physicist. I give him a lot more merit than I do Dr. Oz. But then he has been a hard science physicist in years. But back in the 2000s, he wrote a great book called Hyperspace. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good because it took hard science and made it easier for just normal people to understand what string theory was about. And like I said, if I had come across this kind of rhetoric from him back in that time period, I'd take him very seriously. But there was just something odd about it. So I started doing a little bit more research on it, him specifically. I just wanted to kind of vet what I was looking at. And I came across a number of videos that looked very similar and had a very similar kind of message. But I came across one where it was obvious this was not him. His lips were kind of off with the words, and the language that was being used was just very out of character for him. And I'm like, this has got to be some garbage, some AI slop. And I finally came across an article that was describing how this has just happened in the last week. All these videos have been put out there, and then it was taken seriously enough that all those messages were being repropagated in the internet by people that were sincerely taking him seriously, but in this kind of like button mentality. They'd based a YouTube explanation, kind of like what we're doing right now. They based a YouTube explanation on these AI deepfake videos. And so those got traction and entered our cultural milieu. I'm bringing up now because Chester and I had been talking about it in the last meeting.
A couple of things I learned yesterday that are of interest.
Go ahead.
One is that it is largely comprised of one metal, and that is nickel. It is like 90% nickel. And the other thing I learned yesterday is that it is headed towards the sun, and they're curious about what the sun's heat will do to it. And once it gets close to the sun, it will disappear from us as it rounds the other side of the sun, and we won't see it for some months until it surfaces on the other side of the sun.
So I was under the impression it was already outside of our view, behind the sun.
Not according to what I read yesterday, but who knows?
Okay. Well, with all that in mind, I think that it is very interesting. I think there is some really unusual characteristics about it, because I feel like there's a lot of good, genuine information out there. And I stuck a link to a YouTube video that I thought if anyone was interested in a good kind of primer on this, and what is actually happening with 3i Atlas has come out. It seems like a very a very level-headed perspective on the characteristics that everybody is finding so fascinating. And it's mostly because they've never seen a comet with these characteristics. Along with some of the things that Chester found, I don't know if we mentioned this last week, but the orbital path that it's coming in at is in line with our orbital disk, whatever that's called. within the same path of planets, it's coming along that path. Whereas the other interstellar objects that have entered our galaxy have come from different angles. When we think of ourselves in the Milky Way as being on this disk, with the planets mostly orbiting. In fact, in this video, it mentioned that Pluto, if I didn't know it before, I re-know it now. Pluto's orbit is just slightly off, so sometimes it's outside of our ecliptian disk, and other times it's within that disk. But what's very unusual is
So
these.
Scott,
Yeah.
your audio went out for a while.
Oh, I wonder why that
It's
is.
fine right now. I don't know. It kind of went, and it
About
went
half
out
a
for
minute.
Chester too.
Oh, all
Yeah.
right. Well, I guess all I was getting at was that what I found interesting about this was that in our galaxy, the disk, that virtual disk that we orbit around, kind of like a record, this object is coming in at the same degree, and it's already passed at least 2 different planets, which is unusual. Which if you were to speculate in a kind of sci-fi way, it's the way we would program a path on a probe to get as much information from a galaxy it was entering. There's only been 2 other objects that have entered our galaxy from outside, and those objects approached us completely different, almost a 90-degree angle with our orbital disk, or like a 45-degree angle. But it's considered very unnatural for something to have come out of our galaxy and approach us at the same degree that we're orbiting the sun.
Some YouTube presenters talk about communicating with the device in that it has sent out certain signals that keep repeating every 11 and a half minutes. And so it is they say it's trying to communicate, but with a language that no one understands. And the other thing is that it has changed its direction a couple of times. And that is very, very unusual for any kind of a comet that would be doing this type of maneuver.
Well, I saw some of that as well. The hardest thing about it is what to vet. There's just a lot of speculation out there. And what I do know is this stuff that's been put out there by Michio Kaku was not put out by him. It was an example of the AI slop that is filling our internets right now and making truth so much more difficult to understand.
Right.
Well, it's fascinating. I think I think the genuine information doesn't need AI slop to be fascinating. The genuine information is so unusual. I wish we didn't have to weed through this garbage that's also being publicated out there.
Did you see the YouTube that the Chinese have notified the Chinese public about this event in order to alert them? And there's a lot of criticism for NASA for being silent on it.
I'm going to make a note here because I did come across something, but I think I just passed it very quickly. China notifying. Like kind of like an all hands on deck, beware, something weird is happening out there. We're looking into it kind of message.
Yeah.
And there's criticism. I'm just making a note to myself at this point.
And there are an awful lot of comments on YouTube, different YouTubes, about its potential to destroy humanity.
Yeah, well, you know what's interesting is that there is an asteroid that we have been following that has its percentage chance was higher of hitting the Earth until recently. But I've added that in our lineup over here. I mean, as we're talking about destroying humanity, we'll go down. This is an article from last month that I finally got around to reading, and one of the things that I found so enjoyable about it is I was telling my daughter about it. She's
There it goes. It's Barbara Ann playing.
like, well, NASA studies plan to destroy an asteroid with nuclear bombs before it can hit the moon. And they make some pointed references to the movie Armageddon. Judy, I didn't understand what you just said. There it goes.
I said there something just cut you off and started playing Barbara Ann. Bye, 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 bye.
Okay, I think that was on Chester's Inn. I'm betting it was his cell phone.
Yeah, I had a phone call.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I tried to shut it off as soon as I could.
That's all right, Chester. So the headline of this is NASA studies plan to destroy asteroid with nuclear bombs before it can hit the moon. And I started to tell this to my daughter, and she whipped around and looked at me and she said, "Why? Isn't that the moon's job?" And I had to think back to 7th grade science and go, you know, that's right, isn't it? Like, if it hits the moon, that's what the moon does, is stops it from hitting us. But apparently, if you read through this article, there is like 4% chance that if this asteroid, this is another body flying through space, there's more than a 4% chance, or there's a 4% chance that it could hit the moon, and that could have effects on the Earth. Dust, debris, something like that. And so they're playing around with this idea of how to intercept the asteroid and break it up, if not destroy it completely, using nuclear weapons. Which, as I say it out loud, I still kind of feel like, isn't that the moon's job?
Well, and to use a nuclear weapon against an unknown, maybe that asteroid is doing something that the nuclear weapon will turn around and hit us.
Well, and this reads as though what they're doing is they're studying theoretical missions that could run in succession based on how successful they were. So they could be planning out now, they like 3 or 4 whatever missions, one after another, in case one doesn't work.
The real intriguing question that I find on various YouTubes is that it is running so close to the sun that they don't understand how in the world it could survive the heat from the sun, considering that it's such a large amount of nickel. And that's something that a curiosity that gets discussed quite often.
So how do they know it's comprised of nickel?
Because of they can analyze the color of the tail that it leaves, and apparently they can do that on all comets by looking at the color and the
interesting,
the color, the factors that are involved, and the color of the tail.
I just read too that it will be back visible to astronomers on the 11th of November. So it's still behind the sun.
So it is behind the sun. That's what I thought I had read too, is that it had already gone behind the sun.
Well, that was on Earth's, what is it called? Earth Sky, or
I also saw something that was talking about how it's flashing. Maybe this is the signals you were talking about, Chester. How it's flashing. And that's how they know that it's toppling end over end through space.
I see different ones that some of them say that they can see light coming from it from various places on it, and the thing is very, very large. And if it did hit Earth, it would be similar to what happened, uh, more so than what happened that killed all the dinosaurs. But the Earth has been destroyed 5 times, and there's some speculation this may be the 6th. Anyways,
Well, if that's the case, then we can use AI to boil the oceans. Hey, were you guys affected by Amazon going down the other week?
I was not.
You were not? I mean, I'm talking about the Amazon Web
Nope.
Services. We talked a little bit
Nope.
about it last week. It kind of happened right after.
Nope.
No, you didn't have any services go down?
No.
Boy, I had.
I mean, if they went down, it was something that I don't use very often. Maybe if I was still in the States and ordering Amazon Prime like crazy, it may have affected me, but no.
Well, this would have been web services that they contract out to other services you might use. For one example, I've become a Duolingo addict. I've told you about that. Every morning I get up and practice languages. So I got up that morning and my Duolingo app was acting really funny. I did a French lesson and I got Spanish credit for it. And then eventually the app just stopped working and there was some generic message on it talking about contacts on the internet not working, and that if you wanted to do a lesson, you should do one on the home page, which I think means it's stored in my phone. It's not actually in the cloud. So
By the way, speaking of Amazon, there was an article yesterday that said they were laying off 30,000 employees.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that this morning. Yeah, that's in comparison though. I think they said in the article they have something like 1.5 million employees. Yeah.
So in comparison, that's not a big part of their workforce.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be the one that says it like that because 30,000 people is a lot of people to let off. It's and it's representative of like a disassociation with the way life is being led by these large organizations. And 30,000 people planning on being let go all of a sudden dumps out there, and they need to survive. They need to find some other job. They're dumping
about the people. No, wait. You need to talk about the people that are losing all their SNAP benefits. That's a huge issue.
Yeah. Well, wait a second now. We're getting into politics.
That was not politics. That was people losing benefits, and you brought it up.
Well, I was talking about tech jobs being lost.
Speaking of tech jobs being lost, almost every day a major company announces significant cancellation of jobs. And it's becoming a very long list, including Ford and everybody is laying off major numbers of people. I don't know when that'll hit, but it'll hit sometime before the end of the year.
Yes. So I do have a real tech question.
Oh, yeah.
So I started getting these missed phone calls, and the date on them was 00, which I took to mean 2000. And I probably deleted and reported spam probably 30 times. I have not gotten one recently, but it's the weirdest thing. They just keep coming.
I don't know what to tell you.
It was a 717, I believe, number. And I would mark it as spam and delete it. I would block it. I would do everything. And then there'd be another missed call from this. I
From the
can't
same
remember what
number or a slightly different number?
it was the same number as far as I could tell.
Because I mean, in my
Because the
experience,
date-
if I block a number, regardless of, I mean, other than special coded numbers like 277, something like that from the
Yeah.
phone company, but if it's got an area code, if it's a 10-digit number, when I
But
block
the date stamp was what was weird. It was 00
that is weird.
as the year.
Because you're talking about a call, not a text message. That
Well,
seems
I
really
can't
odd.
remember if it was a text or a call right now. I'm thinking it was a call because I didn't get it on my iPad because I don't have calling on my iPad.
You
So
know,
that's why I
the
think it was a
Amazon
call.
outage was just so strange. It brought down
Maybe.
so many different systems. I mean, is it possible that whatever would be keeping track of the date of your phone would have been associated with an Amazon web services system?
In
Because
2000?
they have
Nah.
become the backbone of so much of what's happening on the internet. They are infrastructure, and all of a sudden they were gone the other day.
When I tried to call the number back, it went your call cannot be completed as dialed, blah, 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 blah. So it's not even a
What are
real
you
number.
doing calling it back? I wouldn't even be messing around. I
wanna
would
know
treat
who
it like
is.
fire. I wouldn't touch it.
Well, I
Judy.
tried it.
Judy, I was getting between 20 and 30 calls a day, all from area code 303,
That's
which
Denver.
is my area code. And
Yeah.
that's Denver. And finally, the way I could only deal with it was to change the settings on my phone to where that the only call that rings is a call that's in my contact list.
Right. I
Yep.
remember that conversation. Yes.
And since then, those calls still line up. I don't get as many, but a lot of them are now going to my message voicemail.
Uh-huh.
And so every day I have to clean out my voicemail.
So do they leave a message?
Well, they just say, "Hello, are you there?" Or
Oh,
something
one of
like.
those. Yeah.
I think we're all dealing with it. Chester, your story sounds very similar to my own. I gave up on I don't let numbers that aren't in my address book ring through. They immediately go to voicemail. They don't ring my phone, so I don't even think about them. And yes, they stack up as received calls that have been pushed to voicemail, and sometimes they leave voicemail. And it's the way that I vet my contacts. I'll listen to a voicemail message, and if it seems legitimate, I'll get back to them how I know how to get back to them. Otherwise, I will take that opportunity to block the number. And I have the experience, Judy and yourself are like getting a new number of trying to contact me, but it's slightly off. Maybe it's the exact same
Right.
area code. Maybe it's the same prefix, but it's a digit off on the.
Right.
And again, that won't ring my phone. It'll just push off to voicemail. I get the opportunity to block that number, and I just keep moving forward.
Mhm.
Yuya's dealing with it right now in Mexico.
Oh,
The
she
same
is.
thing's happening to her. She's getting hit with 4 or 5 calls a day that are all like within the same area code, within the same prefix. So it's not just an American thing. It's happening on the
Right.
Mexican lines too. The best advice I can give anybody is not to spend any time analyzing any of that crap. Just lock your phone down and have a good process for vetting your communication. Because all of it is trying to take advantage of you. It's either directly trying to take advantage, like talk you out of giving money,
Mhm.
or it's passively trying to take advantage of you. Like it is somebody that will come over and shingle your house. It is somebody that will come and wash your car. But it's all just propagating crap. and you don't have to deal with it if you just adopt.
And normally AT&T has always in the past done a very good job of screening out those calls. It will ring 4 times on my phone and then it will go, and when you look at it, it's a spam call.
Well, I think it's important to realize all of these technologies that filter junk mail, all these things are an arms race. They get a better product to get through to you, and now they have to make another technical product to block that. And so it's just a perpetuation. I've preached it before. It's one of the reasons I think regulation is so important in these areas where we're shaping our culture, because technically they're going to be able to make a better mousetrap. Each side, they're just going to keep going against each other. And until we specify through regulation, we aren't going to put up with that crap. So the moment you do build something that thwarts the technology, you're doing something illegal. So now they can come and crack down on you. The whole behavior needs to be cracked down on. Because we've specified. Oh, go ahead, Chester. I'm sorry. I'm just spewing.
The problem I find with having blocked all those calls is that if my doctor's office calls with an appointment, I miss it because the doctor has so many phones that I don't have those in my contact list. So there are some calls I have missed that I regret. But anyway, that's a
yeah, and I agree with you, Chester. I think those are growing pains of where we are now. But at the same time, one of the things that I've found new that we weren't doing as a culture, and I'm seeing it pop up now. Specifically, I just recently had to get labs, and they did a thing. We were doing blood tests for my daughter, and they did a thing they did with me the last time I was in there getting blood tests, like 6 months ago, that I'd forgotten about. Is they told me the phone number that they were going to send messages from, so that I could know when to interpret the number correctly. So I would already be knowing what number to expect communication from. And I thought
that's nice.
I thought that was an interesting change in our cultural communication, where they recognized that I might be screening calls and they don't want me to miss these calls. So here's the number to expect it from. So I think what you're describing is absolutely true, and I look at it as growing pains as we move forward with the way things are right now. Because I think we're all going to work around that. There's that vetting that goes on now. Like if I call my bank will do a thing where they want to make sure that I am who I say I am. And so they'll send a text message to what they have on file that I have to respond yes to before they'll do any real requests with me, as well as using a verbal password while we're on the phone together. I think it's all just growing pains for where we are right now. But the important thing is to have a process where you're protecting yourself and you can vet your communication with people.
One problem I had in that regard is that that verification code that was sent to me was sent not by message, which I get on my phone, and anticipate, but it was sent by voicemail, which I don't. And so therefore the verification, I couldn't do it. And I finally had to call the organization and tell them, I can't do this the way you want to do it. Huh? So they gave me an alternative. So
yeah, growing pains. Yeah. We need some kind of systematic way to do this stuff. But again, we come up with a process. Somebody's going to come up with a way to defeat the process. And that's why it's important for us to have a norm that we all agree on what's appropriate behavior from this stuff.
Well, I mentioned one more thing about when we're on phones.
Sure.
I receive messages, I receive text, but at my age, I refuse to use text the other way. So if somebody texts me and expects a reply, then I will email them and say, hi, I realize that email is subject to being interpreted or intersected where the phone isn't. But I just don't, at my age, I don't want to text. I got big fingers and little keys, and I don't like doing it.
Well, you know, Chester, the voice to text has gotten so accurate that I hardly ever hit the keyboard when I'm texting. It's always
That's a good idea. I really should do that. I should do the voice text. Uh,
well.
do you give the words, or do you spell it out?
You just talk to it in your telephone. When you bring up your keyboard, look for a button that looks like a microphone.
Uh-huh.
And when you press that, it will enable voice to text. And then you just talk to it. And when you talk to it, it writes the words.
Well, thank you for mentioning that. That's what I'll have to look into.
Well, let me mention one other thing that's popular as well. And it depends on your messenger, like Messenger, Facebook Messenger, the Meta Messenger, and the WhatsApp messengers both support a recording. And I know, I mean, it's really popular with my wife and her family. If you're driving, if you're on the go and you can't watch your text messages, to just hit that record button and do an audio message and send it. It's kind of like walkie-talkies. I send you a message. They send you a message. I send you a message. You send me a message. But neither one of us actually has to talk because we're listening to us like voicemail messages coming back and forth. So that's another way you could use your voice without having to use the keyboard.
I'll take it one step at a time.
Well, I bring up the Amazon stuff because it brings up, and I brought it up last week, but what it's really bugging me, and I think that this is really a good Bill of Digital Rights topic, is the single point of failure issue with the Amazon outage. And this article from Ars goes into great detail on why it had this cascading failure that affected so many people out there. And it reemphasizes this concern for a single point of failure. And it got me thinking that really should be in our lexicon. That should be one of these paradigms that are paradigm changing thoughts for all of our technologies, is the losing that single point of failure, keeping in mind the redundancy to keep a system up, which feels like we're failing at. I think what was it last week we were talking about when San Carlos got shut off because the fiber optic line was damaged in an attempt to steal it, and it took down our cell networks, it took down our Telmex connections. I've said before, I've got 2 connections in the house. One was fed by Juan at X-Pro, the other one is fed by Telmex. But since they're both on the other side of that fiber optic line, there was no internet. The third option that I use would be cell network through Telcel, but because that fiber optic link to San Carlos was damaged, Telcel had no data for us. And actually here in town, the people that had internet, they didn't have a single point of failure. They had the Amazon, or they had the Starlink. Oh, Judy just left us. I wonder if that was intentional. And so it was, I mean, we were shut down. And one of the things that I wrote about in the Bill of Digital Rights is that providing internet is like providing a utility, and there should be a redundancy because we have designed our world to require internet under so many aspects that there needs to be a design for redundancy right into the service itself to minimize the amount of downtime. When we were cut off from the rest of the internet, when that fiber optic line went down, it was a real joke. I was sitting around twiddling my thumbs. There wasn't one thing that I could handle right at my desk because everything that I was working on was out there in the cloud. And the moment I didn't have access, I was literally shut down from doing my job. I talked to my wife. She was sitting at her desk at her office, just twiddling her thumbs, wondering what she could do. When we're living in a state where we lose a data connection and which shuts us all down, it really re-emphasizes the need for that redundancy to be built into the model in which we are building infrastructure. And so that single point.
That happened to me on watching a football game this weekend on Sunday, and a game I really wanted to watch. And about halfway through the game, the TV went blank. And I mean, there was nothing for the rest of the game. It's just a black screen. All the other stations were working. Let me mention one thing about Amazon, and then I'm probably done as well.
All right, Chester. I'm sorry. I don't know where anybody is today. They're gone.
A year ago, I tried to discontinue using Prime, and I tried to do it several days before the expiration of my agreement. And so I had to wait a year in order to cancel. And this time I did it at least a month in advance. And as a consequence of that, there is a big lawsuit against Amazon, of which I am a member, concerning what they've been doing on difficulty with letting people get off of their requirements. The other point I want to make is that to the extent that we have been using Amazon for purchase of things that we want or need, I've been also double checking on eBay. And what I'm finding is I can buy most of the stuff I would normally buy from Amazon. I can find it much cheaper with free transportation on eBay. And that really surprises me. But it's only because I'm here in the States that it works that well. But it's kind of been a surprise that I thought Amazon was the cheapest ever, but they're not.
They aren't, and I think they have a halo effect with me still when it comes to things like returns. eBay, I really feel like returning something to eBay is real hit or miss on your satisfaction. In the end, you can typically get your money back, but how long you wait, the terms of how you get it back, the terms of whether it qualifies for being sent back feels like it's all across the board. It really depends on the vendor, and if the vendor's making you happy, and if not, eBay will try and interject, but it's never send it right back in my experience.
And also you have the problem that what you get may not be new, or it may be defective in some way.
Right.
But also the risk you take to save a few bucks.
Yeah, and I really feel like Amazon has done a really good job of giving us that kind of security. Like, it's problem, send it back. You've got a period of time you can send it back with absolutely no questions asked.
Yeah.
And so that's a hard thing to give up.
I'll see you next week.
All right, Chester, we're going to end it early, and it's sure nice talking to you. I'll plan on seeing you next week.
Okay.
Tech
Have a
on.
good week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, we're making that a short meeting, aren't we? I'm sure not certain where everybody is, and maybe they were hoping for an in-person meeting at Tequila's, or maybe they're not even in town. But that was it. That was our meeting for today. This is Scott Stimson with International Computer Solutions. I do remote IT administration, I do software development, and I do home visits locally. So if you are in need of any of those kinds of services, feel free to reach out to me, Scott, at internationalcs.net. As far as our club, it is open to anyone. Please check out our website at sccclub.org, or even better, our YouTube channel, scclub.org. Until next Tuesday, everyone out there in the internet, tech on.